This bow, it has pretty good damage, but it also has soul gathering, so you get more souls to abuse the soul mechanic in this game. And every soul you get regenerates 3% of your health, and you get a lot of souls from every enemy you kill, so it's basically lifesteal, but even better. And then I also have Enigma Resonator on it, and that the more souls you have collected is a higher chance to have a critical hit with it. So while you're healing from all those souls, it's also increasing your chance to hit people for 3 times the damage with your bow. This armor gives you a lot of health, and it doubles your souls gathered, so the healing from souls effect will basically double in effectiveness, and it also increases your range damage, which will help that bow one-shot creepers because those do a lot of damage at Apocalypse difficulty. And then you have Deflect on it, which has a 60% chance to deflect a projectile, meaning that you can basically just run through an army of skeletons and most of the arrows will just bounce right back at them. As well as summoners, those guys that summon tons and tons of mobs, they also shoot out projectiles, which you can have bounce back, dealing damage to them, whereas you otherwise probably couldn't get past all the mobs. I also have Final Shout on it, which is something that I always have to have on my armor. When you get to a quarter of health, it activates all your artifacts, and fully upgraded, it's every 8th second, so anytime you get really low health, it uses all the artifacts, which pairs really well with my artifacts that I have equipped. I'll let you know how that all works once I get to artifacts. This sword is another soul sword. Well, soul knife. It does a decent amount of damage, but it also has that thrust attack, so you can hit enemies from a lot longer of a range, meaning that you have the ability to hit them way before they can hit you. And it also increases your soul gathering, so you can activate that anima conduit a lot more often. And it has a poison cloud, which has a 30% chance to summon that poison cloud, which does a lot of damage over time. And the more enemies you hit, like if I thrust a single hit into a crowd of enemies, every single enemy I hit has a 30% chance to summon that poison cloud. So if there's like 10 enemies, you're going to have a really high chance to have multiple poison clouds, which is just really helpful for crowd control. And then I also have Anima Conduit on the sword, which doubles up with the bow's Anima Conduit, meaning that I get 6% health gain for every soul I get, and with all this soul gathering, you just wipe through crowds and it heals every single kill, meaning that you can just sit there and take a ton of damage and it won't matter because you're healing it all back instantly. And now on to the artifacts. I have a Ghost Cloak, which increases your damage resistance, speed, and allows you to move through mobs, so if you ever get cornered or you want to run through just a horde of enemies to get out of somewhere, then you can just use this and they barely do any damage. It's also allows you to basically just tank an entire creeper blast. I've had times where there's been about 10 creepers that have blown up while I was using this, and I survived all of it, mainly just because of that heavy damage resistance. I also have Soul Healer, which uses all the souls you've gathered, so while you're healing each soul you gather, it also stores them all up, and then you can use this to heal you a ton using some of those souls. It does lower, because you're using those souls, it lowers that ability on the bow, where the more souls you have, the higher chance you have to get a critical hit, but then you have more health and mostly just going to be stabbing people anyways, so it doesn't really matter about that. But it increases your soul gathering as well, so it helps a lot with your healing ability. It also has a really low cooldown, so that's really nice. You can just spam it a lot if you're getting hit a ton. My final artifact that I use is Iron Hide Amulet. This thing increases your defense for 11 seconds, and it only has a 25-second cooldown. So if you have a ton of enemies that you have to fight and you don't have souls already coming in to heal you, you can just use that, and it boosts your defense so you take less damage while you're killing them, and then they start, once you kill all the weaker enemies, they start to heal you once this wears off. So it really helps you initiate a fight.